Welcome to the Highlights webinar for Open Dental version 21.3. A detailed list of all enhancements can be found in the description below this video. The first highlight inside of this version is the new 2022 CDT codes that are available in 21.2.47 or 21.3.22 or greater. We recommend the decode tool is only run after seeing the last patient of the year or at the start of the 2022 year. The decode tool can be found under Lists, Procedure Codes, and in the Tools button at the bottom left-hand corner. Keep in mind you will need permissions to this area in order to see the Tools button. Clicking on the Tools button, you'll see that it automatically defaults to having it checked for the decodes. This will add any missing 2022 ADA codes and fix descriptions and blank abbreviations of existing codes. This option does not work in the trial version or compiled versions. If you've never been in this section before, the top code tools are able to be run without it affecting your database in any negative way. The code tools that are below the two gray lines here, if your office is a brand new location and you haven't customized anything in Open Dental, you can run these codes to set Open Dental up with the default settings. If your practice has been using Open Dental for any length of time and have started customizing your database, these codes will set it back to the Open Dental defaults, and you'll lose any customization you've done in these specific areas. Most offices will just come in here to run the decodes for the new year and click on the Run Now button. A warning will be displayed if the tool is ran before the start of the new year, so just keep that in mind. The next highlight inside of this version is new Merge Billing Types tool that can combine duplicate billing types. This can be found under Tools, Miscellaneous Tools, and Merge Billing Types. Keep in mind, just like in other areas of Open Dental, that when you merge the information, the top billing type will be the one that is kept, the bottom billing type is the one that will be hidden or archived. Clicking on the Change button in the top, we're going to choose the standard account as the one we want to keep in the system. Clicking on the bottom Change button, I'm going to hide the regular billing and merge it into our standard accounts. So any patients currently on the regular billing type will be assigned the standard account. Clicking OK and clicking Merge, Open Dental will always warn you and ask if you're sure. The results are permanent and cannot be undone. Clicking Yes, I can go ahead and see that the billing types have been merged successfully, leaving me with just the standard account. Clicking on that Change button again, you'll notice that that regular billing type is no longer showing. The next feature in this version is new sheet level settings to control auto-saving of a form to the imaging module when the patient fills out that form. Please note, for this to work, there needs to be an image category marked as autosave forms created in your system. Let's show you how to set that up. Under Setup and down to Definitions, inside of the imaging categories, you can choose from an existing file folder and double-click and mark it as Autosave Forms, or you can create a new category with the Add button. Name it what you'd like, and then check the box for Autosave Forms. For this example, we'll use one I've created in the past of our forms and check the box for Autosave Forms. Keep in mind, the autosave forms can only be assigned usage in one of the folders that you want the forms the patient fills out to autosave into. Now that we have that turned on in our imaging module, we can go to Setup and down to Sheets. And any of our custom forms, if we want them to autosave into that folder, we simply double-click, edit the properties in the top right corner, and make sure that the Check Autosave by Default checkbox is checked. Now if I go into the forms for this patient, and I fill out a consent form for them, I do have the option, if for some reason I don't want this particular form to autosave for the patient, I can uncheck the box at any time for the autosave to images so that it doesn't automatically save. We'll leave this checked for the example so I can show you. Going to the image module, you can now see that the consent form has automatically been saved to that folder I created. Consent forms can also be found under the treatment plan module with a drop-down to choose from your consent forms, or inside of the chart module as well. We now have a new keyboard shortcut of Control-P so that it'll open up the Select Patient window. This makes it so you don't have to click on the Select Patient button in the top left corner. Control-P is the new keyboard shortcut, and additional keyboard shortcuts can be found on the keyboard shortcut page on our web manual, opendental.com, and click on the search feature in the top right-hand corner. The next new feature in this version has to do with making your job easier and having to do less data entry when you're adding in additional family members. I'm going to go into the family, and we need to add in Eleanor's daughter, Rose. You'll notice that Eleanor has a phone number and an email address already listed. So when I click on the Add button to add Rose onto this account, it automatically defaults to the telephone number and email being populated for me. If for some reason Rose has her own cell phone number, because she's a teenager after all, we can override that if we want to here. Clicking OK will at least fill in some information on the patient. New security permissions have been added under Setup and down to Security. Clicking on the User Groups icon, we can see that we now have the ability to restrict access to the allergies and medications lists. We also have the ability to restrict adding or updating a password in a program link if it requires someone with Manage High Security Program properties. We can also restrict who can add or edit allergies, problems, and medications inside of a patient's chart. We can also require somebody to have the adjustment create permission when adding a discount to a treatment planned procedure. Open Dental now creates an audit trail entry when a patient's credit card is edited. One of the newest features in this version of Open Dental is how you can grow your practice with advertising postcards. You can create a postcard campaign for your practice if you're trying to create a deal postcard to send out to your current patients, or if you're a brand new office and you would like to purchase a patient list of patients surrounding your practice to let them know that you've shown up in town and that you're accepting new patients. Select Tools, Advertising, and Postcards. If you haven't created a postcard account yet, click on the Setup button in the top left corner. Accounts will be listed in the top left corner if you've created multiple accounts for your different practices. Adding in a new account is as simple as clicking the Add Account button, the account title, which is typically the name of your practice, an email address that does need to be different for each practice you're signing up, the name, first name, and last for either the practice administrator or that practice's primary provider. Phone number and mobile number are not required and don't have the asterisks next to them, so they can be entered or not. If you'd like additional information on advertising postcards, from within this section, it does take you to our web manual page about this particular topic. Now that I've got an account, I can choose from the drop-down if I have multiple accounts. And if I want to select patient from my already existing list of patients, I can click on the Select Patient button. If I'd like to purchase a list, that can be done at the end of creating the postcards, or you can click on the View Account Details to go back to the previous screen. Clicking on the Select Patient button, Open Dental will filter out and exclude patients that haven't been seen since a certain time period. You can adjust and edit these filters to be more of what your practice is looking for. Just make sure you hit the refresh button to update your list. You can also create a custom query with a list of all your patient details that you'd prefer and paste it into here to create your list. If you want the full list of patients that are showing to have that postcard campaign, click on the Select All button. You can also clear all and just select specific patients and set selected. You can also highlight and clear the selected. Once you've highlighted and selected the patients that you want to receive that postcard campaign, it will list the number of selected patients in the lower right-hand corner. Clicking OK, we can now give this campaign a name. Click on the Upload list, and the Advertising Postcards window will show. Select the product you'd like to create, and then click on Choose a Design. New categories will be arriving shortly. Click on the Patient Reactivation and New Patient Generation, and then choose from a template that you want to customize, and click on the Personalize Now. Choose a theme if you'd like different coloring, and refresh the preview to see the changes. Click on Next, and this will allow you to upload a practice photo if you have one of your staff or your current location. You can click on Choose an Image and choose one for yourself. Otherwise, we do have some stock images available for you. Refresh the preview to see any changes after you've made them. We're going to add in a headline. Go ahead and put in our discount amount and our offer here. Enter our disclosure. This is going to expire. The name of our company and the name of our doctor. We can even include our website and a brief testimonial. Clicking on Next. You can even include a logo for your practice, use from images you've uploaded in the past, or click on Upload Image to choose. You can enter copy on your postcard and go ahead and put in your bullet points. Inside the Customize Your Mailing List option, you can use option 2 for that existing recipient list. You will want to make sure that that list name you created in the past is specific for this deal and is easy to differentiate between different deals and campaigns. You can also purchase a recipients list. So if you are a new practice and you'd like to be able to send the postcard to patients in a specific zip code or a radius around your practice, you can also do that, as well as demography. We'll go back to option number 2 for an existing recipients list and click Next. From here, that list, we're going to verify that Open Dental's list matches up with the last name and template fields. When you verify that information is correct, the next window will pull up for being able to do a direct mail piece to yourself. This can be sent to either the practice or your administrator, just to give you an idea of when that postcard campaign is reaching your patients. Before you'd continue, if you need to make any changes to your recipients list, you can do that at this time. Otherwise, click Next, And Open Dental is going to analyze your list to save you some money. It will check for incorrect addresses and remove any errors in the list. If at any time while you're trying to create your postcards you have questions about the postcard setup section, there's a chat feature in the lower right-hand corner that will allow you to communicate about postcards. If you have additional questions about Open Dental specifically, please see our Contact Us page on opendental.com. There is a chat feature on that as well. You can also email in your questions and we'll respond to your email within the same day. It'll also provide you with the Open Dental telephone number 503-363-5432. Once your postcard is finished, you'll want to view your proof. We can see the details about our proof here, including the backside. We'll need to approve our design, and you'll also want to view and mark that you have read and agreed to the NCOA service provider required text document. Clicking on Add to Cart. This will take you to the specific postcard checkout window. When you're in this window, it will ask for payment at the time of purchase. Please keep in mind that the purchases inside of the postcard section will not show up on your monthly statement that you'll get from Open Dental. These are going to be listed as a completely separate purchase, and you'll get a receipt at the end of checking out. The new eServices features that are part of this particular version. So go ahead and pull this up here. So under eServices, one of the new features inside this particular version is under eServices and down to our WebSched existing patients. You can now change the recall display name to be something a little bit more generic, so teeth cleaning, that will include both prophy and perio appointments. E-reminders can now be customized to show a pre-medication message to remind your patient to take their pre-med if the patient is marked as pre-medicate in the medical chart. So we'll go into automated messages. You do need to be using the e-reminders in order for this to work properly. E-reminders can be sent out via text if you are texting your patient or interested in signing up to text your patient. There is an additional fee for using the eServices texting feature. Or we can link your already existing email account to Open Dental, and emails are just going to be sent out. There is no charge in Open Dental for sending out email reminders to your patients, so that may be a good first option if you'd prefer not to sign up for something at this time. You do need to check the box for activating your e-reminders, and then you can customize those e-reminder messages over on the right-hand side. Simply double-click to open up your e-reminders. You're going to set it for how much time before the appointment you want that reminder to go out. It can be days or hours, and whether or not you want it to not send within a certain amount of time. If your patient has a preferred method of contact and you have signed up for texting service and they prefer text message, this is going to look at their preferred method first. If they don't have a preferred method, Open Dental will send out a text message if you signed up for that service, or an email address if no wireless number exists. To add the pre-med flag to the e-reminder, you're just going to go to the spot in the text message that you want that pre-med reminder to be. We're going to put in a bracket and the word pre-med. And if you want to edit the body of an email message, you're just going to click on the edit button and put your pre-med flag here. To customize the message that goes out for that reminder, you're just going to click on the Advanced Settings button in the top left-hand corner. And this section here can be customized for your pre-medicate template. By default in Open Dental, it will say to remember to take your pre-med. Keep in mind the patient does need to have in their medical history section, they need to have the pre-med checkbox checked. So you just double-click into the medical history section in the bottom left corner. It's indicated in the pink area. And then check that box for pre-medicate. One of the next features that is new to Open Dental is part of the patient portal. The patient portal is a way that you can give your patients secure access to their appointments, treatment plans, images saved within Open Dental, their account module, or make payments on their account, all of which you get to decide what your patient has access to. You can invite your patient to their own personal patient portal from either the chart module, if they're sitting in the chair. You can double-click in the lower left-hand corner patient information screen where it says Patient Portal. Double-click to open that and provide online access. This would allow you to print off the directions, especially for patients who have trouble with electronics. The other way that Open Dental can invite your patients to the patient portal is an eService. We'll go to eServices at the top of the program and go to our automated messaging, activate patient portal invites, and then be able to add in a patient portal invite. These can be sent before the appointment or after the appointment. The new features to this version is patient portal invites can be customized to only invite the patient until they visit the portal, invite them once per appointment, which is pretty common of a medical practice, to be able to get an invite to the portal to see the treatment and care summaries after that appointment has been completed. Or we have the option to invite once per appointment if the patient hasn't visited the portal in a certain amount of days. Clicking on Add will add that patient portal invites with the customizations you've chosen. If the patient pays through the patient portal, they can now choose to have an emailed receipt of their payment. Please note that currently the office would need to be using XCharge, OpenEdge, Edge Express, or PayConnect for your patient to use this option. To give you an idea of what that would look like to your patient, once they've either been invited or they've logged into their patient portal account, they would be able to see that they can make a payment there. They can list their payments, and inside of your system, you will get an alert that shows pending online payments and how many. You can open the pending online payments window. This allows you to view any payments that have been done through the patient portal. From here, you can double-click to open each individual payment to make sure it's been allocated the way that you'd prefer, as well as marking it as processed. This allows you the human interaction of seeing what is coming into your system and being able to mark those payments. The payments will allocate based on how you have it set up under Setup, Account, and Allocations. We recommend auto-splitting so that Open Dental can assign the payment to the procedures that have the oldest balance on the account first. You can also choose rigorous or manual and be able to assign the payments yourself. Inside of the chart module, we have some new features as well. If you're signed up for ERX or electronic prescribing of patients' prescriptions, you now have the option for proxy users to be able to utilize DoseSpot through the Open Dental mobile app. This does mean that you would also need to be signed up under eServices and sign up for the mobile app feature. There is an additional charge for the mobile app as well as using the electronic prescription called DoseSpot. This would allow your proxy user that you've allowed to create the prescriptions in DoseSpot to be able to upload those prescriptions. If doctor was out golfing, as an example, he'd be able to log into the mobile app himself and then finish up the prescription. Inside of the Ortho chart, we've added a few new features in here as well. The Ortho chart can only be edited by one user at a time. By default, the locked by note will appear at the bottom, with the current user allowed to make the edits. As you see here, I have Dr. Allender logged in on his desk computer, so this note and any additions that he makes to it will be locked by Dr. Allender. If the Ortho chart is in use by doctor back at his office desk, it can be used by another user. A warning will display if another user attempts to open the Ortho chart that it's been locked by Dr. Allender. The new user can click Take Control on their computer to take over editing. When this happens, the existing user's edits will save and will be able to be seen by the new user. This can be helpful if doctor left the ortho chart open on his computer back in his office, but the assistant and/or doctor wants to view the ortho chart from within the operatory. They can take control of it within the operatory, and it will still save doctor's notes that he made back on his computer. We've also added in the date range. The ortho chart can be viewed or printed for a specific date range now. All dates is by default and what was originally the only option. Now you have the ellipses button to customize your date range that's showing in the ortho chart. So when you click on print, the only thing printed will be what is displayed here within those dates. The next addition to this version are in our imaging module. Inside of the imaging module, you can now open multiple images simultaneously. Let me show you what that looks like. We'll click on Import and get a couple of images inside of Open Dental. Keep in mind, these do need to be actual images and cannot be a PDF. PDFs are considered documents and not images. I now have two images open on my screen. To click and drag on the main toolbar, I can even customize the size of that particular image. I can then click on the next image and move it over as well. The next feature inside the imaging module that we have, I'm going to go ahead and click on our lovely deer picture here. We now have a new button called Draw. Clicking on Draw will allow you to add customized text to your image. You have the option to choose a color, or you can click on the text button and click on your screen where you'd like that image text to appear. If you click in the upper left-hand corner of the image instead, your location X and Y may show as 0. You can click and drag the text to where you'd like it located on the image if it doesn't place it where you'd like it at first. We'll go ahead and change the text size that we want. And I'm going to change this to Holiday Red. Clicking OK, you can see that my text is taking over some of my image. A simple double click and marking the image as transparent will make it so that the only thing showing is the text. The next thing that we have in this version is inside of our Manage module and new for statements. In the billing section here, if we've chosen a default date range that our statements will run on our monthly statements, Open Dental's account module will now use that same date range. In the past, clicking on the Statements button at the top would cause Open Dental to print the entire account history for that patient all the way back to the start of them coming. Now the Statement button, when you click on it, will go off of the default date range for your billing section. If you need a full account history, you still have the option to click the drop-down, More Options, and customize your date range here. This window gives you the ability to print the statement, email it off to your patient, send it to the patient portal if you want your patient to log into their secured portal to be able to see the statements, and clicking on View to view it before you print. That monthly billing we were talking about in the Manage module in the billing section, it can now be set to run automatically. This can be done under the main menu, Setup, Advanced Setup, and Scheduled Processes. Clicking on the Add button in Scheduled Process, I now have the option to choose a scheduled action of statements and their frequency to run and the time I want them to run. Scheduled processes allow certain updates to be performed regularly at a designated time. We do recommend running any scheduled processes after hours to avoid disruption of normal program functions, as these tasks can be server intensive. We'll go ahead and say we want this to run at 7 o'clock at night after our practice is typically closed. The next feature in this new version is new with ERAs. ERA downloads can be automated. ERAs are electronic remittance advice. This allows your insurance company to send the payment to your clearinghouse, and Open Dental can then pull that information in and post the payments from your insurance companies to the claims that they were submitted for. You can learn more about ERAs on our web manual page if you haven't signed up for ERAs and you're interested in them. Practices must be using Claim Connect, Denti-Cal, Change Healthcare Medical or MD on Medical, and or electronic dental services. ERA automation needs to be enabled in Setup, Manage, and Manage Preferences. You'll have the options down at the bottom with the drop-down. Review All is the current process in Open Dental if you're on earlier versions. You will be reviewing all ERAs and they will be processed manually. Semi-automatic ERAs can be processed with a single click of the Auto Process button in the ERA window. This will receive the claims associated to the ERA and finalize the payment. They can also be processed manually if needed. Fully automatic ERAs. The ERAs will be automatically processed when imported, receiving the claims associated with the ERA and finalizing the payment. If an ERA does not get automatically processed while being imported for any reason, the user can still attempt to process them by clicking the Auto Process button on the ERA window or process them manually. Along with this feature, we've also added under the Reports and Standards section in the Lists area an ERA's automatically processed report. It's always a good idea, since you're the human, and this is a computer and a robot doing the processing, to come in here and still verify that those ERAs were processed properly and are showing up the way that you want them to in your system. Other report changes that happened in this version, under Reports, Standard, and your Monthly section, in the Unearned Income Reports. The Unearned Allocations Report can only be used by users on MySQL 5.6 or MariaDB. If your practice is using MySQL 5.5, please contact support to upgrade to run this report. If you need any additional assistance after today's webinar, please give us a call at Open Dental.
Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. If you have additional questions, please contact our support line at 503-363-5432 or access our complete online manual at opendental.com. And to make sure you're staying up to date on our latest training videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications.